Brian Thompson, the 50-year-old chief executive of United Healthcare, the largest private health insurer in the United States, is walking toward the New York Hilton Midtown. He is there for his company's annual investor conference. He is surrounded by people. He is in the middle of one of the most densely populated places on Earth. In broad daylight, a masked man approaches from behind. He raises a ghost pistol, a three-dimensional printed firearm with no serial number, fitted with a homemade suppressor. Nobody on the street hears the shots. They only see Brian Thompson fall. Calm, heavy, the gunman walks calmly into Central Park. Disappears. For 5 days, the New York Police Department, the FBI, and federal investigators deploy every resource they have. Drones, helicopters, hundreds of detectives. Nothing. Slow, deliberate. Then, a McDonald's restaurant in Altoona, Pennsylvania. A staff member recognizes a face from the wanted posters. Calls 911. An officer walks in and finds a young man eating a steak sandwich. His mask is lowered. He is 26 years old. His name is Luigi Mangione. He is an Ivy League graduate from a wealthy Maryland family. He has a data engineering degree from the University of Pennsylvania. Clear, direct, this is Shadow Files. The complete crime documentary of the case that made America confront what it actually thinks about justice. The case that made a killer into a folk hero. And the criminal psychology question that nobody, not the courts, not the media, not the millions who followed every detail, has been able to stop asking. Scene 2 voiceover, conversational, before this becomes a case analysis, before the criminal psychology, the ghost gun, the manifesto, the criminal mind behind the planning. We need to talk about Brian Thompson. Because this true crime story begins with a real person who was killed on a real street in front of real witnesses. Brian Thompson was 50 years old. He was the CEO of United Healthcare, a division of United Health Group, the largest health insurance company in the United States by revenue. He had worked his way to the top of one of the most powerful corporations in America. He was a husband. He had 2 sons. Genuine weight. The reaction to his murder shocked many observers. Within hours of the killing, social media platforms were flooded, not with grief, but with something closer to celebration. Comments that called the killing justified. That called Thompson a symbol of a system that had harmed millions. That treated the unidentified gunman as a hero. A December 2024 poll of college students found that 45% sympathized more with the suspect than with Thompson. 17% sympathized with Thompson. Honest, balanced. This reaction does not belong in a crime files analysis as an endorsement of violence. It belongs here as a fact, because understanding this case analysis, this investigation, this criminal psychology, requires understanding why a murder of a corporate executive became a cultural referendum. That is the hidden case at the center of this story. Quiet, reflective, Brian Thompson was not a symbol. He was a person. He had a family. He was walking to a work meeting. And he was killed. That is where this unsolved moral question, which the courts are still working through, begins. Scene 3 voiceover, controlled, precise. The crime documentary evidence in this case is a study in criminal psychology and premeditation. What Luigi Mangione allegedly did was not an act of impulse. This was case analysis made physical. A hidden case executed in plain sight. November 24th, 2024, 10 days before the shooting. Surveillance cameras at the Port Authority bus terminal capture a man arriving by bus at 9 in the evening. He checks into a youth hostel in Upper Manhattan under the name Mark Rosario. False name. Cash payment. Face mask. That is not someone in crisis. That is criminal psychology at work. That is intention. Emotional. Let this land. He stayed for 10 days. On the morning of December 4th, he left the hostel at 5:34. Rode an electric bicycle through the pre-dawn city. Stopped at a Starbucks at 6:15. Ordered a water bottle and granola bars, which he later discarded. Arrived outside the Hilton before 6:30. Balanced. Every true crime story asks who did this. This crime story makes that question harder than most. Luigi Mangione was born in 1998 into a wealthy Maryland family. Country clubs, nursing homes, a radio station, significant real estate. He graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 2020 with bachelor's and master's degrees in computer engineering. He worked as a data engineer at TrueCar, a car buying platform. By every external measure, privileged background, Ivy League education, professional career, he was a success story. Emotional. Let this land. Then something shifted. In 2023, he left his job. He was dealing with debilitating back pain that required surgery. He moved to Hawaii. His social media presence, which had been active and normal, abruptly went silent in June 2024. He stopped communicating with friends and family. His mother filed a missing persons report on November 18, 2024, 16 days before the Thompson killing. He was, investigators believe, increasingly radicalized by his reading and his isolation. A criminal mind forming in the dark psychology between physical pain, ideological literature, and a growing conviction that the systems of American life were not just broken, but evil. Dialogue insert. NYPD Chief of Detectives Joseph Kinney. The writings that were found with him, the manifesto if you will, it's a 3-page document. It speaks to a presumed motive. It does appear that he had some ill will towards corporate America. Narrator continues. His defense attorney Karen Friedman Agnifilo has argued that Mangione is being treated differently because of the unusual nature of the case, and that key evidence was obtained illegally. Sarcastic. As of January 2026, a crowdfunding page for his legal defense had raised over $1.4 million. His sweater sold out on Nordstrom's website after a court appearance. Searches for his name spiked by millions. A billboard reading Free Luigi appeared in Riverside County, California. Emotional. The heart of it. That is the hidden case inside this case. Not just who Luigi Mangione is, but what the response to him reveals about the country he allegedly targeted. Scene 6 voiceover. Building. Luigi Mangione faces charges in 3 separate court systems simultaneously. That is almost without precedent in modern American criminal law. In New York State, 11 charges including second-degree murder and multiple weapons charges. The terrorism enhancement, murder in furtherance of terrorism, was dismissed by Judge Gregory Caro in September 2025, ruling that killing one person does not meet the statutory definition. The second-degree murder charge remains. Genuine weight. In federal court, 4 charges brought under interstate stalking laws, alleging Mangione crossed state lines to stalk and kill Thompson. Federal prosecutors initially sought the death penalty. In January 2026, Judge Margaret Garnett dismissed the death penalty-eligible murder charge, ruling it legally flawed. The maximum remaining federal sentence is life without parole. In Pennsylvania, additional charges related to his arrest and the forged documents found in his possession. Rising tension. The trial schedule has become one of the most logistically complex in recent memory. The state trial was scheduled for June 2026, moved to September 8th. The federal trial, initially set for September, is now scheduled to begin October 5th, 2026, with opening statements October 26th. A further delay pushed the federal trial to January 2027. Flat. Final. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to all charges in all 3 jurisdictions. His defense team has mounted what legal observers describe as an aggressive constitutional challenge, arguing that the search of his backpack at the McDonald's violated his Fourth Amendment rights. If the ghost gun and the notebook are suppressed, the prosecution's case changes significantly. Reflective. The outcome of these trials will not just determine Luigi Mangione's fate. They will set precedent for how American law handles ideologically motivated violence against corporate targets. A question the legal system has never been asked to answer quite like this. Scene 7 voiceover. Gentle. When Luigi Mangione was arrested, something unusual happened. The public response was not uniform condemnation. It was complicated. Within days of the killing, anger erupted online, not at the gunman, but at the health insurance industry. Is an investigation that reveals 2 crises at once. The crisis of a man who allegedly concluded that targeted assassination was a reasonable political act, and the crisis of a country in which 45% of young people found that conclusion, if not defensible, at least understandable. Both of those things are true crime files. Both of them are real. And both of them demand more than a verdict. Emotional, genuine, for Brian Thompson, who was 50 years old and had 2 sons and was walking to a work meeting. For his family, who had to watch their loss become a hashtag and a culture war and a legal spectacle. For the families in America who have had legitimate claims denied by the system his killer claimed to be targeting, and who deserve change through law, not through a ghost gun on a Manhattan sidewalk. Warm, direct, Shadow Files covers the crime stories that define our moment. The case files that reveal not just what happened, but what it means. Subscribe for a new investigation every week. Pause. Calm. Final. The truth is always waiting in the shadows.